Good morning, students. I welcome you all once again for software testing class. So we are discussing unit number 3, static testing techniques, and today is your session 5. So in the last class, we have discussed about what are the process for reviewing, yes, what are the things to be checked, we have seen the different checklists there, yes. So can somebody tell me what are the different checklists what we discussed in the last class?
SRS checklist, design checklist, GUI checklist, website checklist.
SRS, design, GUI, and
website.
So 4 types of checklists. So these are the things that need to be checked by whom? By the reviewers. So the people who are going to check the what to be checked is a list given there. We call that as a checklist. What you have seen, we have discussed yesterday. Yes. So today we'll be discussing some guidelines, what you can call. So in the review also they need to check whether the programmer or coder is following the proper guidelines or not. So every programming language has got some guidelines here. In the static testing, we do not execute the code there. We just check manually there, or we review it, we can call that. So we need to follow whether the programmer or the developer is following the guidelines or not, we need to check it. So that is what we call coding guidelines. Every language, programming language, either maybe C or C++ or Java, they have got some guidelines. Whether those guidelines the developer is following or not, we need to check. And what is the programming style there? So we need to check it. So these two topics we'll be discussing today's session. They're coding guidelines and programming style, what you can call. Yes, fine. Yes. First is the coding guidelines, what you can call that. Coding guidelines is nothing but conventions coding conventions are a set of guidelines for a specific programming language, you can call this, that recommended the programming style, what you can call, recommended the programming style, practices and methods for each aspect of a program written in that language. Like whether some languages are case sensitive, some languages are not case sensitive. Like in C language, every statement should end with the C semicolon there. Yes, you cannot have only either it should be all caps, all lowercase. You cannot have combination of uppercase and lowercase, because it's one one variable is uppercase and one is a lowercase, means it identifies there is two different variables. It's very case sensitive. So such things, whether every programming language has got some guidelines and their rules and regulation, whether those regulations have been followed by the particular developer or not, we need to check it. Yes. So coding conventions are a set of guidelines for a specific programming language that recommended programming style. Yes, programming style is that. So like always main, then the brace, then you use some 1 tab or 2 tab, some proper convention, you practice that. Yes, and methods for each aspect of a program written in that language. What are coding rules and guidelines? Yes. What are those? Safe, it can be used without causing harm. So if you follow these guidelines, it will be safer for you then. Yes, and secure, you can call. It can't be hacked. Nobody can hack your data, what you can call that. Nobody can hack your data. It will be secured also and reliable. It functions as it should every time. Whatever the purpose of the function, same function is going to perform, what you can call that. Yes, it functions as should every time, what you can call that. So these are we'll discover what is the purpose of following these rules or guidelines. It is safe, you can call. Yes, it is secure. Yes, it is secure and it is reliable, what you can call it. It functions as it should be for every type. Yes. So go through this, somebody.
Coding guidelines. Coding conventions are a set of guidelines for a specific programming language that recommended programming style, practices, and methods for each aspect of a program written in that language. What are the coding rules and guidelines? Safe, it can be used without causing harm. Secure, it can't be hacked. Reliable, it functions as it should every time.
Yeah, if you follow these guidelines, nobody can hack your data. And it does not cause what you can call harm. And also the purpose, what is the purpose? It is reliable. It is going to function whatever the purpose it is going to perform. That is what we call. So because of this, we need to follow these guidelines, what you can call. It's fine. Yes. Next, testable. So if you follow the guidelines, what I have one more feature is characteristic. It can be tested at the code level. the code can be tested at any level. It can be module level or code level can be tested there. So for testing also it will be very easier if you follow the guideline. Then next, maintainable. It can be maintained even as your code base grows. So for example, in a project, the project consists of large number of lines there. Usually you write a code in the form of modules there, module 1, module 2, module 3, and so on there. So if you follow these guidelines, it is easy for you to maintain what you can call. So there will be 10 modules and each module may perform on specific task, what you can call that. So if any problem is or any error is there, you may go to that particular module and debug it. And easily you can identify based on the SRS, your what you call software requirement specific document, you can check whether all the functions have been implemented or not. And if anything modification needs to be done, you need to go to that particular module and you can do it very easily. That is what you call maintainable. Yes, even as your code base grows, when you go on doing a project, the number of lines goes on increasing that. So in such cases, it will be very easier for you for maintaining what you can call. That is what you call maintaining. Portable. It works the same in every environment. Yeah. The Turbo C, so for example, Turbo C compiler is that you install in any Windows 7, Windows XP, or Windows 10 or Windows 8, it will perform the specific task. Portable, it works the same in NV in every environment. Wherever you want to install your project, it is going to work. So irrespective of the operating system, irrespective of the hardware, what you can call it. Is it clear? That is what you call portable. It works the same in NV in every environment. Whichever what you call environment you install your application, it has to work. That is what you call portable, what you can call it. It's fine. Somebody.
Testable, it can be tested at the code level. Maintainable, it can be maintained even as your code base grows. Portable, it works the same in every environment.
Yeah, that is these are the some of the features of what you can call why coding guidelines, or what are coding rules and guidelines. What is that? It is safe, secure, reliable, testable, maintainable, and portable, what you can call. Yes, fine. Next, what are the some, again, these are what you call these are, because of this we require coding rules and guidelines are required there. Now, what are the advantages? We are going to discuss it here. So some advantages are there. What is that? We are going to discuss it. So advantages of coding guidelines are, you can call, increases the efficiency of the software. Yes, definitely. Follow the guide. If, for example, you are traveling in a two-wheeler, if you follow the traffic guidelines, so it is safe for you there. It is safety. The same thing here also. If you follow the guidelines of the particular programming language, then definitely it increases the efficiency of the software. The software will have more efficiency. Yes, efficiency increases if you follow the guidelines. Then the next advantage, it reduces the development time. See, easily you can identify what this module is there, what this function is doing, what this sub function is doing, or what this what you call macro is doing, and so on. What are the variables declared? What is the logic what you use? That is what advantage is. Yes, it will be very easier for, it reduces the development time, what you can call. Yes, if you follow the guidelines, it will take less time to develop the software, what you can call. Then coding guidelines help in detecting errors in the early phases. Yes, as you know, you're having SRS is their design. Based on the design, you write the code there. So you can check manually. When you're checking manually, suppose if one module is left out, immediately you can identify that this module is left. Or while designing a module might have been not designed completely. So based on the requirement, you can check it. But these things, module has been left out, or module is not been designed, or incomplete design, that cannot be identified in the dynamic testing, what you call it. Because whatever the code is there, you execute and review the test time. But some modules, what you can call, if it is not written, or modules have been not designed, or some requirements have not been identified, those things can easily detected in the case of what you call static testing. So coding guidelines help in detecting errors in the early phases. So if you detect the errors in the early phase, so definitely it will be an advantage, so that the small bug may not become a bigger or again bug that may lead to cost of your wastage of your time and manpower and money and so on. So the errors are detected in the early phase of the what you can call here. That is one of the advantages. Then, and as you're checking it manually, we are checking the design and the guidelines. So if any module is left out, you can tell the developers to develop this model. But that is not the case in the case of dynamic testing. Next, it helps to reduce the extra cost incurred by the software project. So it will also what you can call save that money, what you can call. Yes. So for suppose what you can call, if there are any bugs there. So here the purpose of what you can call static testing is to minimize the bugs there. If any bugs are there, try to eliminate here itself. That is the advantage, what you call. It reduces the extra cost incurred by the software project, what you can call. Yes, that is what you call. So extra money is saved for the organization, what you can call, money is saved for the organization or the company, so that for if there is anything the mistakes are there, that will help you to what you call reduce the cost, what you call. It helps reduce the extra cost incurred by the software project. Yes, expenditure is reduced when you apply what you can call if you follow the guidelines, coding guidelines. Go through this, somebody.
Advantages of coding guidelines. Coding guidelines increase the efficiency of the software. It reduces the development time. Coding guidelines help in detecting errors in the early phases. It helps to reduce the extra cost incurred by the software project.
Yeah, so these are the advantages of what you can call user coding guidelines, what you can call. So reduces time, efficiency, it help you detect the errors, and will save the cost for the organization, what you can call. Yes. Then next, some more advantages. If coding guidelines are maintained properly, then what happens? The software code increases readability and understandability. If you follow proper guidelines, yes, so it will be helpful for everybody to read it. The software will be sent to so many people there, so they can easily read it and they can understand. If you maintain the guideline, if you don't maintain the guideline, randomly if you write somewhere here and there, it's very difficult to understand by anybody. So you follow the procedure, or you follow the guidelines how to be written there. So that, like for example, there will be main function there, then sub function, or sub function 2, function 3, and so on. There. So, you need to write the author, what is the who has written this program, when it has been written, and what is the logic for that particular function, or what is the purpose of that program. You need to write everything there. So if you follow all those things, guidelines, definitely it can be maintained properly. If you maintain it properly, definitely it will help others to read and understand. And next, it reduces the complexity of the code also, what you can call. It reduces the complexity, when you write properly, even if the complex things becomes very simple, what you can call. Yes, the project may have 10 different modules, but if you write it in a modular format, specifying module 1 is what, module 2 is what, module 3 is what, anybody can understand. So by following the guidelines, you can reduce the complexity there. Then it reduces the hidden cost for developing the software also, you can call. It reduces the hidden cost for developing the software. The cost is saved, what you can call, for the organization, what you call. Yes, that is another advantage, what you can. Yes, go through this, somebody.
If coding guidelines are maintained properly, the software code increases readability and understandability. It reduces the complexity of the code. It reduces the hidden cost for developing the software.
So these are some of the advantages of what you can call coding guidelines, what you call. So these are some coding guidelines: increase efficiency, reduces the development time, help in detecting errors, help reduce extra cost, help when it is maintained properly, it will be very easy for readability and understandability. It reduces the complexity and it reduces the hidden cost for developing the software, what you can call. It's fine. Next. Next, what are some of the advantages? Again, next. In the formal code review meeting, when review is happening there, the reviewers come and check your code there. It must be checked whether the programmers are following the coding guidelines defined in the organization there. Yes. So every programming language has got some guidelines, and even in addition to that, some guidelines will be given by the department or by the company to follow that. So the reviewers have to check whether the programmers are following the guidelines defined in the organization, not only with the programming language, so even the organization or company will define some rules there. Whether those rules or guidelines they are following or not, they need to check that. If the guidelines are followed, testing and maintenance will be easy. Yes, if you follow the guidelines, not only the programming guidelines, even if you follow the guidelines given by the organization, if you follow that, then it will be easy for testing and maintenance, you can call it. Yes. Then every organization has to develop a set of guidelines for all the programmers to follow so that the code can be maintained easily there. So if, like, for example, if the what do you call the organization company do not give guidelines, so what happens? Every programmer may fall. The programmer will have the the programming language has got the guidelines are available, no doubt. But what happens? He may follow his own naming convention. He may call it as file 1, file 2, file 3, and so on. That he may follow his own method there. So because of that, so the company has to give some guidelines there, like what is that, how to follow it, is how to name the files, where to store it. Otherwise, what happened? Everyone individual may give his name, whatever the name may be there, file 1, file 2, file 3, and so on. Simply, and wherever they want, they may store it. So instead of that, the organization has to give some guidelines where how the naming convention has to be given, where the files have to be stored, so that if it is read by understood, it can easily access that. Even in your absence also, anybody can understand, open your file and can access the file, because you'll be, as you're a developer, so your files will be sent to different persons, maybe for testing, maybe for checking and other things. So you need to follow the proper guideline. So if the organization does not give guidelines, so if there are 10 different programmers, or 10 different developers, they may have their own convention there. So then it will be very difficult for a company to understand, or the organization to understand which are the files. So because of that, organization will give some guidelines or some rules what every developer has to follow. So even the reviewers have to check it. So if the organization gives the guidelines, then it will be easier for everybody, you can call, whether it is developer, whether it is a tester, or whether it is a manager. So anybody can understand what this file is about. Yes, fine. Let's go through this.
Advantages of coding guidelines. In the formal code review meetings, it must be checked whether the programmers are following the coding guidelines defined in the organization. If the guidelines are followed, testing and maintenance will be easy. Every organization has to develop a set of guidelines for all the programmers to follow, so that the code can be maintained easily.
Yes, these are some of the advantages of coding guidelines. So the reviewers have to check whether the programmers or developers are following the guidelines or not. And even every organization will use some guidelines. Even those guidelines are being followed or not, they need to check it, what you can call. Yes, fine. Next. So these are the things what we need to discuss about the coding guidelines. Yes, coding guidelines were discussed. What are coding rules and guidelines? Discussed. What are the guidelines? Advantages of coding guidelines? What we discussed. Next is the programming style. What should be the programming style? Why we need to check it? It's fine. Every programmer has to follow certain guidelines while doing the coding. So this also is very advantage. If everyone follows his own style, then it will be very difficult to understand for others. So they are what you can call. So even the organization will give them the particular format. They need to follow proper format. They need to give proper files, file names, how they should give function names, variables, and so on. Yes, whatever it is. Yes. That is what we call programming style. Every programmer has to follow certain guidelines while doing the coding. What is that? The layout of code should be easy to read. Proper indentation of the code is required. What do you mean by indentation? Somebody, can you tell me? Indentation means what? Indentation. Anybody? Proper indentation of the code is required. What do you mean by that? You've done your C programming, you've done your DS data structures, or your ADA programming, or DA programming, you've done. What is that? Indentation means what? Proper spacing, you can call. Proper tabs. Yes. So after the main, you may use one tab, then you put a brace. Then after that, again a tab, and you may write the code. So if somebody goes through that, which is the program, where what is the logic, where it is, which part, how many lines are there in that particular braces, everything we can understand. That is what we call indentation. Proper spacings and proper using of what we call braces. Yes, that is what we call proper indentation. Suppose if you write all the entire programming language right from the first column itself, then nobody can understand that. So you'll be using sometime one tab, or sometime you'll be using two tabs, and within the for what are the statements you executed and so on. So you'll be using some spacing and proper tabs are being used. That is what you call indentation. That is proper indentation. Yes, the layout of code should be easy to read. Proper indentation of the code is required. Then name of files, as I told you that. So naming of files is very, very important. What is the purpose of the file? For example, the purpose is for sorting, or with sorting you can use bubble sort, for example. Yes, and what is the function? Maybe sort is the function. Sort you can use. And variables, simply don't use what you can call I, J, K, P, Q, R, something like that. Should not be, but some meaningful name should be given. Like for example, you're calculating the salary. So variables can be salary. Suppose you're calculating the tax, maybe the tax, or maybe average salary. So give the variables name such a way that they should give some meaning. Or suppose you're finding the sum, use the variable as sum, or you can use the total. Yes, suppose you're entering the marks, so enter the variable as marks. Yes, something subject 1 mark, subject 2 marks, and so on, like that. So just don't use the variable name simply I, J, K, or P, Q, R, and so on. So it does not convey any meaning there. So always select the variables and functions name such a way that they should give you some definite meaning there. And the size of the function size should not be, or should be about 40 to 50 lines, not beyond that, what you can call that. So 40 to 50 lines is sufficient for one function. Yes, on an average, for example, some 4 to 5 lines extra is okay, but it should not, the size of the function should not be 100 lines. About approximately, so that it is easy to understand. Everybody can easily understand that particular function. Yes, go through this.
Every programmer has to follow certain guidelines while doing the coding. The layout of code should be easy to read. Proper indentation of the code is required. Name of the files, functions, and variables should not be cryptic but meaningful. Function size should be about 40 to 50 lines.
Should not be cryptically, as I told you, I, J, K, P, Q, R. No, don't do like that. So give some meaningful variable names and the function name. That should be the programming style. Next. Yes. Then what should be the size of the file? Module. Yes. Module size to be limited based on cohesion and coupling. That depends on your software, what you can call. It may be 100 lines or maybe a 200 lines, depend. So based on your number of lines of the code or the project, you can decide it. Yes. So module size should be based on cohesion and coupling. That depends on the particular features of your particular project, what you can call. And nested if, or nesting you can call. Deep nesting should be avoided if there are if statement. So don't use nested if first if, second if, or third you can have. Don't go fourth, fifth, and sixth, and so on. Instead of that, when you want to have a nested if, better you can go for a case statement, switch and case statement. So avoid deep nesting, what you can call. So don't use deep nesting. That should be followed. Yes, in this time. Then some exceptions or errors should be handled by using the code to make the code robust. Like suppose, for example, there may be some exception errors may be there, overflow or underflow, like size of the array you would have given very small. So sometimes your array becomes full, or maybe stack or a queue, something stack becomes stacks may be for overflow or underflow may occur there. So such exception should be handled by using the code, what you can call. Like for example, you're entering the marks. Sometimes marks cannot be more than 100. If you enter 101 mark, if the maximum marks is specified as 100 and you are trying to enter 110 marks, so it should not accept that. It's like that, fine. Yes, then single entry, single exit control structure should be used, and goto must be avoided. As far as possible, avoid goto statement. Goto is an unconditional statement. It is not a good practice to use goto statement. If any situation, if you cannot avoid at all, then you use goto statement, what you can call it. So single entry and single. When the loop enters, then what you can call, it should execute a statement, what you can call, and then it should exit. Single entry and single exit control structures should be used, and goto must be avoided. So these are the points you need to follow, or this is a programming style, what you can call. These you need to follow while writing the code, what you can call. Yes, go through this.
Module size to be limited based on cohesion and coupling. Deep nesting should be avoided. Exceptions or errors should be handled by using the code to make the code robust. Single entry, single exit control structures should be used and goto must be avoided.
Yes, that is about what you can call the programming style, what you can call. So module size, that depends on cohesion and coupling, that depends on your software basically. Is it clear? Deep nesting should be avoided. Exception errors should be handled by using the code, so that the code is very easy, robust, you can call. Then single entry and single exit control should be used, and avoid using goto statement, what you can call. Yes, fine. Next, then some other user defined types to be used to increase readability, such as enum and type def. What is this? What do you mean by this? What do you mean by this? Yes. Yes. User defined types to be used to increase readability, such as enum and type def. What is enum? You might have used somewhere in data structures. Can you give me an example for enum? Somebody. Enum. It is a user defined type in data structures. Like for example, you know the months of the year. There are 12 months. So instead of what you can specify the months directly in the enum. Yes, all 12 months, January to December, or the 7 days of the week, Monday to Sunday. So you can specify, you can use the data type, what you call the user defined type enum there. And you can define your own variables also there. Yes, integer is a built-in data type there. Yes, integer, float, what you can call character, and so on, whatever it is. Yes, integer, float, and character, they are the data types available. So you can define your own data type. Instead of using the keyword integer, you can have your user defined type. Yes, that is by using the the keyword type. You can define your own data type also. That is what you call user defined type. You can have your own defined data type. Instead of using integer, you can use some other name there. Yes, yes, something numerals, you can use that. So numerals will be a a data type which you have defined, what you can call, like that. Then each file must have a header containing the name of the program. Yes, definitely. Who has written, the author of the program, what you can call. The author of the program is very, very important. Yes. Author, who is the author of the program, that should always be there in the header file. And the next is the date on which the code was written. So you written the code today, definitely date should be there. Then suppose you return it today, and again tomorrow you will modify it. Again, you need to modify the date. That is what you call revision history. When the code was modified. Today you might have written some code and saved it, and that is today's date. And tomorrow again you're doing some modifications to that particular code. Then you can write it as a revision history when the code was revised. That internal documentation is very useful for maintenance. Documentation is very, very important. Yes, documentation will help you so to know what is this file, who has done it, when he has done, what is the purpose of the file. Everything has to be done. Internal documentation is very, very important. Let's go through this, somebody.
User defined types to be used to increase readability, such as enum, type def. Each file should have a header containing the name of the programmer, date on which the code was written, the revision history, when the code was revised. Internal documentation is very useful for maintenance.
So if it is properly documented, then it will be very helpful for maintenance, what you can call this. Fine. Next, there should be no magic numbers. Like for example, I is equal to 256. Why are you using I is equal to 256? You should specify that something. Constant is equal to 10. You should not use. You can declare sum equal to 0. That is okay. You initialize the sum equal to 0. Simply you are using I is equal to 256. What is that? Why you are using the value of I should be 256. So such things should not be there. Then the functionality of each module or function must be explained briefly. So what is the purpose of this function? It should be, or purpose of this module, you should explain properly or briefly, what you call. Next, the input and output parameters for each function or method must be explained. So what are the parameters given for a particular function? And when you give a particular input, what the output you should get. Or for a method, what input should be given for a method and what output the method should give. You must be explaining that. Yes, the input and output parameters for each function or method must be explained. Then assumptions made during the coding or design to be mentioned. Suppose sometimes you make some assumptions. So you should clearly mention what are the values what you are using. Sometimes you assume some particular value. Yes. So what is that assumption you have made? So that also has to be mentioned. So assumptions made during the code or designed to be mentioned. So you should not use the some numbers and randomly constant numbers. Some I equal to 256 or I is equal to 10. Suppose if you're starting the loop, I is equal to, for I is equal to 0 to 10, that is okay. But simply in between the program, you're using the variable I is equal to 256. What does that 256 means? So it does not convey any information for the the person who is reading. So you should specify that. Then the function, what is the purpose of the function and the model should be explained. Then what are the input and output parameters for each function as well as method should be explained. And suppose if you made any assumptions, those things have to be explained. Yes, somebody go through this.
There should be no magic numbers. For example, if I is equal to 256, it should have explained why I is equal to 256. The functionality of each module or a function must be explained briefly. The input and output parameters for each function or method must be explained. Assumptions made during the coding or design to be mentioned.
Yes, so that is about your programming style, what you can call. Yes, so these are the things what we need to we have discussed today. So you discussed two things, that is you discuss about the coding guidelines and you discuss about the programming style. So any doubts in this today's class? Okay, then if there are no doubts, then we can wind up the class. Okay, thank you one and all that.
Thank you, sir.